In less than 24 hours, we have some basketball. Sixers basketball will be back. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers podcast, coming to you live from the Xfinity Lounge, where we hang out from you as always. Derek, Kyle, Devon Bree, President of Basketball Operations. We're presented by Rothman Orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY. And Ford, how many years, Kyle?
48 straight, Devon.
Yes, indeed. Visit your local Ford store. Do us a favor, everybody. You did it for us yesterday, and we need it again. There you go, Kate Taylor. There you go, Kate Taylor. Hit that like button, everybody. Hit the like button.
Devon's got his foam finger out.
Got the foam
you know
finger
what that
out.
means.
Hit the like button, everybody. And we are close to 50,000 subscribers as well. So spread the word. And if you haven't done so already, I think you have. But if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the show, the channel. And we really appreciate it. While you're at it, again, spread the word and hit that like button. Before we get started and talking about the first basketball game of the 25-26 campaign, the preseason gets underway tomorrow against the New York Knicks at noon from Abu Dhabi. We'll talk about that, preview the game, give our thoughts on what we want to see from the players out there that are available first. We'll tell you about that too. And we're still on Quentin Grimes watch, 11:59 p.m. Quentin Grimes watch. Kyle, when free agency got underway, June 30th, I know you said it. Derek agreed with you. This is going to take a while.
Yes.
But damn, has it taken a while.
No.
We're not prepared for this.
I was going to say, we're not taking credit for being right on this one, because if you would have pinned us down and be like, what does a while mean? I would have been like, maybe mid-August, something like that.
Late August, maybe early September.
This is a while. This is quite a while. We'll get into other things. We'll tap in from Abu Dhabi with some things that the Sixers shared with us, of course, and we'll get into so much more. First, we do have to tell you before we get started, join the PHLY Diehards today. Join the community and choose the perk at allphly.com. $36 sign up, and you get a limited edition t-shirt of your choice. All you have to do, again, is go to allphly.com, hit the merch button. You'll see what you can choose from. $59 green-branded Bill Die Hard hat that Derek wore on the show yesterday. You
Mine's
see
coming in on Friday.
There on the screen. Kyle will be sporting his shortly. There's a limited quantity, so you want to make sure you get in there. Take advantage of our sign-ups there. $36 for the shirt, $59 for the hat, and you get the Die Hard for the whole year. You get the community. You get the articles written by my guys here about Quentin Grimes, the games, the Eagles content, Phillies baseball, Flyers, of course, getting underway, all at allphly.com. And with the Phillies, postseason underway. Playoffs got underway. The wild card games did on Tuesday. And we're waiting for the Phillies to find out who they will be playing against. So when they do get it all situated and the schedule is ready to go, 15-minute pre-games with Tyler Zulli and a huge post-game coverage contingent featuring Tyler, Bill Metz, Rich Hoffman, Pat Egan. Tune in to the best Phillies coverage here on PHLY Network and the PHLY Phillies Show. Plus, daily Anthony Gargano Red October mini pods throughout the postseason. We got you covered all postseason right here at All PHLY. All right, let's get to it. We got basketball tomorrow, Derek. And we get a little
hallelujah.
We get a little basketball out there to talk about something that happens out there on the court, and that's against the New York Knicks. 2 games, Thursday and Saturday, noon start time, tip-off on Thursday, 11 a.m. on Saturday, where the Sixers again and the Knicks face off in those 2 basketball games. Kyle, you were showing some of the injury report.
So
that's out
I've
there.
neglected to send this to Bree, but in the NBA app this morning,
The injury report,
it has
everybody.
been updated in a favorable sense for the Sixers. But as of this morning, there were more guys who were unavailable or at least questionable for tomorrow's game than there were available. And you look at it and you say, who the heck's going to play for this team at this point? Because we know Joel is not going to play, or at least we have pretty strong confidence he's not going to play. We know Paul for sure is not going to play. We know Quentin is not going to play.
Yes.
We know Jared is not going to play.
So that's 4.
Those are some pretty, those are big minute guys too, right? So as of earlier, they had listed Barlow, Broom, Edwards, Embiid, George, Grimes, Maxey, McCain, Oubre, Watford as either out or the only one who's actually truly listed out is McCain. Every single other guy was a game time decision. Now, since then, I believe Maxey was taken off. I believe that Barlow was taken off, and I believe Edwards was taken off. So those are two pretty notable subtractions from that report. And in Barlow's case, a guy that we have heard a lot about already at training camp. So the hope is that this is all just some preseason.
I mean, you got to keep the Knicks guessing. You can't let them game plan.
You don't want them to get the game plan set too far ahead of the game, obviously.
Meanwhile,
right?
all of them are available to play in the game. Bree has it right there. There you go. Everybody take a look at the injury report less than 24 hours before the game tomorrow against the New York Knicks. That's what it looks like in Abu Dhabi for the Sixers, and we'll see how it all plays out. All right, so with all of that.
By the way, multiple guys listed as injury rest. You haven't played a game.
Training camp has been, it's been a grind, man. Training camp, long flight to Abu Dhabi, 13 plus hours. It's been a grind.
Come on, man. And so it's some typical nonsense to start the preseason. But I will say, regardless, especially in the case of someone like Tyrese Maxey, you are not going to see him play 30 plus minutes. You're not going to see the main guys, if they're available, playing deep into the fourth quarter. Largely what happens is either they'll play a good chunk of the first half and then they're done, or they'll play a good chunk of the first quarter, a good chunk of the third quarter, and then backups, reserves, two-way players, Exhibit 10 type guys get some of the action in other parts of the game. So we'll have to wait and see. But we will be treating it as we're going to get some idea of a couple of the starters, right? I think VJ is probably the big outstanding question. Does he start tomorrow? I think, frankly,
he should.
No real argument against starting him, right?
No.
Other than just he's a rookie and you don't want to hand him things right away. But with Grimes, God knows where, and McCain out, there's no real argument that he should be coming off of the bench. So the first thing I go to is something that we have talked about a lot. What does that Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe combination look like? Nick Nurse has talked in practice already about we want them against each other at times in practices, but largely we got to accelerate the chemistry. We got to have those guys out on the floor together. We're going to put them out there together early. We're going to put them out there together often. And so just very simply, how does it look? And especially how does it look in a situation where we're not expecting probably Joel Embiid, we're not expecting Paul George. So there are touches and there are opportunities for these guys to play two-man game, to trade opportunities, leading the offense, running from the point of attack, getting Maxey off the ball. Exactly what does that vision look like? That's the thing I'm by far most excited to see. If it doesn't happen tomorrow, then at some point during this preseason.
I will interrupt and say that there's more excitement for you, Kyle, in the chat, where there's so much Taco Bell conversation going on in there, man.
My people.
They love your people are in there as we give you some basketball content, but also the Taco Bell conversation going on. Derek, what are you looking for tomorrow as we get this preseason underway?
No, I mean, I think that has to be the first answer. Everything from how does VJ look? How often do they give him the ball and ask him to create? How often do they let Tyrese Maxey play off ball when VJ is trying to create? And just how quickly has he adapted? Like, does he have confidence in that jumper, whether that's from three-point range or that short mid-range that we've been talking about? Everything about VJ is front and center, and everything about VJ is going to be what I think most of us are going to focus on. He's the third overall pick. You almost have to. Yeah. You just haven't seen him in this kind of environment, and he's incredibly important to this team's future. And theoretically, as we've talked about a lot this week, could be a really good fit next to your long-term tentpole star. So I think that is absolutely the case. Where my mind goes after that, like I've been a big backup center. What are they going to do? How does Adem Bona look? What kind of progress has he made? Can he take this experience he had with Turkey, hit the ground running here in training camp, and sort of force Nick Nurse's hand? Like I've said time and time again, if they are even close, then I really want Bona to get that spot, both because I think he gives you just a version of a center that you desperately need, I think the defense that he can give you is really important, but also because you have long-term vested interest in developing him. So I think, first it's VJ. He's incredibly important. He's incredibly exciting. He's a really good fit next to Maxey. That has to be first, getting a great first look at him. And his first look in Summer League, I know he only played 2 games, but gave you a good first impression. I want to build off of that. Second, it's Bona and that backup center spot and whether or not he can take that spot and run with it.
I'm curious to see, because of what you guys are talking about with the backcourt, which is number one. I don't have any. I have things to add, but that's clearly number one. It is how much, if any, do we see the on-ball part that you guys talk about a lot with VJ handling the basketball a lot, especially if Maxey gets going a little bit early and he does play, first of all, and he plays and they're in the backcourt together, he gets going a little bit. How much does Nick Nurse take him off the ball and allow the kid to have the rock to kind of initiate things? And if he's doing so too, because he's doing so against the Knicks, if they play, we're talking some pretty good defenders that are going to be out there at the 2 and 3 position that are going to be trying to not only chase around, especially because there's no George out there potentially. Obviously, there's no George out there because he's not going to play, but there's no George out there. Grimes is not there. McCain is not there. That the second best guy is most likely going to go to VJ Edgecombe and try to slow him down. So how he handles that point of attack, of course, where he's defended as the ball handler, the lead guy, and then getting the basketball in the right spots for Tyrese Maxey to catch it on the move, maybe rise into one of his shots, getting into that shooting pocket that Tyrese Maxey likes it so well, where we saw James Harden do it, and it was, of course, James Harden. It's effortless, though, for him. And even where we would see DeAnthony Melton have the ball in his hands sometimes, and some others that would have the ball in his hands and setting Maxey up. So that's going to be, I want to see how early we see some of that stuff from Nick Nurse, because we know, which he had told us while we were at practice on Saturday and Sunday, I believe it was Saturday when he spoke about putting in some basic stuff, not a lot, but to have them on there. And I see that Terrence Knight says VJ is going to cook Brunson. Well, Brunson might not be on him. Brunson might be on some.
Brunson might not play, by the way.
Right,
That's the other thing, is we don't know who the Knicks are going to throw.
And if he
out there.
did, based on matchups, they might put him on somewhere else where maybe less likely for them to score. But you might be right in that case that he might cook Brunson a little bit. Brunson is strong, though, pretty smart there. But I'm curious to see how he is pointing the attack with the ball in his hands, if he's the guy that Maxey gets it going a little bit. Or even if he does, if it's not getting Maxey going, it's just more of, we want to see it. We want to see what it looks like. We've seen it in practice. We've seen it in Summer League. Now we want to see it against some real competition against another team, what the scouting report says for them and how they attack him and how he responds to the type of defense that we will have up against them. So curious to see how all that with the movement, with those two, how they mesh off of one another and how they use him. Because with him talking about being a guy that had to change his shot and understanding that he couldn't line drive a lot of things, he gets a little bit of an arc on his shot. Is he going to be coming off of curls? Is he going to be coming off of some of those pin downs there, those screens where he's catching in the mid-range? Does he take the pull-up? Does he put the ball on the floor, try to get to the basket, use his athleticism? The things that we talked about as weaknesses that he needed to improve on, will some of those show as, all right, he's watching on tape, they've gone after it, and he's figured out what he can do, like picking the ball up too early instead of keeping that one extra dribble to use your athleticism closer to the basket and finish. I know I'm asking a lot from him in game one, but we've been waiting for this now since March, and we didn't know it was going to be him, but it's him. And I want to see how this looks with the kid and how it all plays out against a defense that's going to be geared up for him.
And by the way, if he plays well, are we going to take a victory lap? Of course we are. You know who you're dealing with on this panel.
Listen.
And if he plays poorly, it's just one preseason game.
It's just one
it
game,
doesn't
and
matter.
it's just the preseason. And anything that supports our thesis, we will highlight 100 times. Anything that goes against it, we'll pretend it never happened or that it didn't. Obviously, we're just kidding here.
A little bit.
A little bit. All right.
On the other side of the ball with VJ, though, how do they use him on that side, right? Because we have talked about him, looked at him, and as we're trying to figure out the lineup configurations, he is more of a backcourt defender right now, right? He's a point of attack, ones, twos. Maybe you could stretch him to smaller, quicker threes, right? And depending on the team, there are teams like Indiana, right, when they are at full strength, they're going to play several guards who he can defend all of them. But then there are other teams that are wing heavy that have the big 6'7", 6'8", tough, strong, physical type wings that we're unclear if he's going to be able to check, right? And so the Knicks are a great team to test that against, right? Because it's either Brunson, or he could end up on Bridges, or he could end up on Anunoby, or he could end up on, it's several different guys that they could theoretically toggle between.
Yeah.
And throughout the course of a game, it'll also depend on lineups, right? Because if they stagger him with Maxey some, he's not going to play all his minutes with Maxey, I would assume. If he's not playing with Maxey, then I think it's probably more likely that's like, you are de facto point guard and you're going to guard the other one, right? We're not going to overcomplicate it. We're not going to have you cross match and transition and try to keep it pretty straightforward. But when he's out there with Tyrese, I would guess it's Tyrese takes whoever the weaker link is, and then it's VJ, go dog this guy, right? And so seeing how he handles that and seeing where the line of aggression is, right? The line of aggression is something we talked about not just in Summer League, but on the scouting report and when we did our film session here with some of our diehards, where you love the mentality he plays with. You love the desire and the ability to force turnovers, to get into passing lanes, play guys out the half court. But you're not always going to gain from that in the NBA, right? These guys are better. These guys are more skilled. They're better passers. Frankly, they're a lot bigger in many cases. So if you play too far up on them, it's a weak trap. They can pass right over the top of you. So how does he respond to the game speed, the increased size and athleticism, and frankly, the increased skill? Very excited to see that. And also, we keep hearing about how hard he plays in practice. He could just be the guy that he will stand out in this game because a lot of the guys on the Knicks are older vets who are like, I don't really need this game. And VJ is not wired that way, right? So I'm interested to see where his compete level is at compared to everybody else in this game.
I kind of with the other lineup of if let's say one of the two wings goes to the bench quickly and Brunson is still out there and Deuce McBride comes off the bench.
Yep.
What does he do there? Because both of those, Derek, are running. And I don't mean, we both know 6'2", 6'3", both of them, that's the size that they are, but they are constantly on the move. He doesn't get tired. He does a lot of really good things, as you just talked about. And with all of that, how does he handle that when he's running around with Jalen Brunson and Deuce McBride? He has to take one of those two, and that's just what it's going to be. How does he respond to that? Because it's not the size that he's talking about with the two wings. Now it's the two smaller guards, and can he keep up?
No, I mean, this is a matchup where they have a lot of different types of perimeter players who would be a good test.
And don't forget about Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench too.
Yeah. Kyle's point is a fair one, though. Like, you don't know, which one of those are going to play and whether or not they're going to really care all that much. I do think this is a game where VJ is going to be really amped up for it. So you're watching a little bit also, like, can he rein that in a little bit? Not like you want to hold it back, but you don't want that to lead you to mistakes and, like, over rotations or over fouling or things like that. And if he does, again, it doesn't really matter. It's only one preseason game. You would understand if he is overly amped up for this game. But I'm just curious how he's going to, react to it all, because this is a new environment for him.
Little nerves, little jitters at first. Get an early basket, maybe an early steal, and calm him down a little bit, because we saw the first 5 minutes of his Salt Lake City Summer League game where he didn't look all that great until he made that running layup high off the glass, and that's when he said after he saw that one go through.
One. You guys know that.
He got very comfortable after that spot, and he also knew he was the best player out there on the floor. And he just kept doing whatever he wanted to do out there as they played that game against the Utah Jazz Summer League team. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about Adem Bona. Derek mentioned him, so we'll start with Bona, and we'll also get with Kyle on some other players or things that might be front of mind for Kyle as far as what he wants to see tomorrow. Get my thoughts as well, all of you in the chat. Make sure you send in what you're looking for tomorrow as we get ready for the preseason opener from Abu Dhabi against the New York Knicks. That's a 12 o'clock game, a noon start for the Sixers and the Knicks tomorrow. Make sure you have that, because when we get here at 3 p.m., it's essentially a post-game show. When we come back, we'll get into it all right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast, presented by our good friends from Rothman.
Guys, the game tomorrow is on. It's going to be streaming. You're going to be able to watch it. You want to make sure that your home setup is ready to go, because the last thing you want to do is be like, is VJ slow? Is he slower than X? No, my internet is just buffering. Don't be that fan, because if you are
Not
a basketball
VJ buffering,
fan, not
Derek.
buffering VJ. If you are a basketball fan,
would
you
be a
have to have
problem.
Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination. I can find the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. And the way that I watch, it's next level. Got the action right in my living room, plus Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K. It's so clear that I feel like I'm in the arena. Top of that, you get real-time notifications and live stats right on my TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
All right, folks, our presenting sponsor, as we talk about Rothman Orthopedics. If you're still, the weather's nice, so if you're still out there taking a run along Kelly Drive, you're feeling pretty good, you know, maybe you step on a little pebble or something, you tweak your ankle, and you're like, all right, I need to go get this checked out. Rothman Orthopedics is the place for you. Whether you're biking, again, chasing your kids, running along Kelly Drive or the Schuylkill, or finally tacking that hiking trail, it's tough when your body doesn't cooperate. That's where Rothman Orthopedic does, in fact, come in. Rothman's 180-plus fellowship-trained physicians specialize in specific areas of the body and a multitude of orthopedic services, including hip, knee, spine, shoulder, and elbow, foot and ankle, hand, wrist, sports medicine, orthopedic oncology, and trauma and fracture care as well. So if you need to get checked out and pain is slowing you down this season, take the first step. Head to rothmanortho.com/PHLY and schedule your appointment today. That's Rothman Orthopedics, your mobility, their mission. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast here. Day before training camp, the preseason game gets underway. Also want to tell all of you that when we speak of media day, we had a chance to sit down, Rich and I did, with Bree and all at the media day. And we had some one-on-ones that we did, 2-on-ones.
I was going to say, not the nitpick, but there are two people.
There are
talking.
technically-
Sit-down interviews,
2-on-ones,
exclusives.
sit-down exclusive with the coach, Nick Nurse, Tyrese Maxey, the player, and they're up on our page right now. Our
Tyrese,
YouTube
by the way,
page.
I heard you commit to the Marvel draft. So whenever we eventually do it, I'm holding you to that, brother.
Yes, he did. He did commit to the Marvel draft. He said hit him up, and we'll get him scheduled for that. But please go check it out on our YouTube page. You know where to find us, of course. And when you do so, Bree will have it in the chat, in the link, if you want to make sure you bookmark that to go check out the conversation that Rich and I had with Nick Nurse and Tyrese Maxey. And we have more on the way. And then we have one special one that Bree's going to start dropping out there, putting out there. That's really fun, that I think all of you will enjoy. We all enjoyed it. They enjoyed it. And we hope you enjoyed it as well. So please go support, as always, on our YouTube page and go check out those conversations with Nick Nurse and Tyrese Maxey.
Outside of Tyrese, who would be really into a Marvel draft? I feel like that would be up Kelly's wheelhouse.
Nah, I don't. Kelly's interests are kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's another
Jared?
guy.
I don't know. That's a good one.
It could be any of the young
It
guys,
could. We
right?
just
Because
don't
they all
know.
grew up
Yeah.
in a time when Marvel movies specifically were this huge thing. So you could convince me on any of them. But
That's true. What was Iron Man 2007? 8? So Jared was like 4 when the first one came out. So yeah, it's been like his entire life.
Yeah, VJ was 3. So, yeah, entire life. All right. I see Val wants in on the Marvel draft. Look at
All
that.
right.
We're recruiting everybody.
So Val,
Tyrese
Tyrese,
Maxey.
the three of us, Bree.
Yes. All
We'll,
right.
we'll see. We'll try to put that together.
We'll see how it goes.
And by the way, everyone who's in here, I've seen some people talk about it in the chat. Hit the damn like button if you're in here. Helps out the channel. Sends a message that Bree is doing a good job. We know she's doing a good job, but you tell her she's doing a good job. Helps us out, helps you out, helps the whole thing out, helps get those exclusives. The more people see us, the more people want to be on the show and talk to us and talk to you, be with you. Help us out. Help us help you.
Bree has to put up with us for 5 hours a week. All you have to do to thank her is hit the mouse
quick
button
click of that
once.
thumbs up. That's
Come on.
it.
All right. Make sure you hit that like button. Kyle, Derek says Adem Bona and the backup situation there. I agree that that's one of the more important things that, of course, we've been talking about all summer. But now that we're here and we know Bona has played all summer long, he has not stopped playing basketball. Andre Drummond looks pretty good from what we saw at Media Day. And that's going to be a nice battle for us to focus on as we start game 1 tomorrow. And who gets the nod at the starting position?
Well, that's
Who gets the
that's
nod?
a big thing. I know that. So there are two ways that coaches look at this historically. One is just I put whoever the better player is in when the starter, like the Joel type player, right? Joel's out of the lineup. Who is my normal backup? I just elevate them one spot. That to me is what you should do, right? Play your better players, play them from the start, play them for more minutes. Some coaches go a different way, which is to say, they say, I would rather keep my good backup, who I like in a backup role, in that backup position, coming off of the bench, so their rotations are the same, their lineup combinations are the same, even things down to like how they time their warm-up and their pregame routine. Everything stays the same, and somebody else leapfrogs them and takes the starting job, right? So I won't say that whoever we see start tomorrow is like, we know that guy is the primary backup to Joel Embiid. It doesn't matter if it's Andre Drummond or it's Adem Bona. What I will say is I hope it's Adem Bona that gets that first crack, right? And it's not because Drummond doesn't deserve a shot to compete for this job and compete for these minutes, right? Nick Nurse has said he came in much better shape to camp. I think that in a contract year, Drummond is going to come in motivated, right? I think if he doesn't have a good year, we might be talking about a guy who could be out of the league at worst and maybe in a median scenario is on a minimum deal next summer, right? Or next offseason. So Drummond has a lot to prove coming in. I don't think it would be crazy to play him out to shoot, given that you signed him as a priority guy last year and he struggled with injuries, and you just say, hey, maybe he gets his feet back under him like a lot of other guys. But I think based on Bona having played deep into this offseason in Eurobasket, the progress we already saw him make toward the end of last year on offense, frankly, some of the combination play that he can get into with Maxey and Edgecombe specifically, right? Like having that type of hard charging, hard rolling, big and pick and rolls opens some things up, some driving lanes, some lob opportunities, which I know Devon will be excited about for their pick and roll guards. I would just rather see Bona start the game and play more minutes. I'm not sure that's how Nick Nurse is going to go. We'll have to see tomorrow at noon. All will be revealed.
Yeah, and to Kyle's point, like Nick has done both at times where he's, started the better player and the backup, like he's elevated the backup, and he's also at times had where he wants to keep that backup in that backup role. And I worry a little bit that, especially when we're talking about someone like Drummond, who is the veteran, the proud, looking for his next contract, starting him in days when Joel is out and keeping Bona in that backup role might be the way that you sort of keep him happy at times, allow him to be featured a little bit more. I'm really interested to see which direction Nick goes, but also I want to see how Bona looks. Because it's one thing to be like, well, what will Nick do? If Bona forces his hand, that is great, not only because it means I watch a little bit less of Drummond, who really struggled last year, although I'll give Drummond the benefit of the doubt, maybe losing the weight, maybe the toe yoga, maybe all that stuff will get him to a better version of himself. Toe yoga
is one of the funniest phrases I think I've ever heard in my life.
Which, good on him, because he I know it sounds ridiculous, but I really did it. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I have my concerns about Drummond. Bona can erase that pretty quickly if he just takes the step that I think a lot of people think that he can take and that he's capable of taking. I think it was actually Drummond who said, he's jumping 2 inches higher than he was last year. And not like he needed any more in his vertical, but it seems like he's, coming in really good shape and at a really good place. And obviously he is up to speed in a way that everyone else is not because he was playing competitive basketball. And I just want this, not only the backup, which has been a long-term problem with team, I want that locked down, but I also need someone who can start in spot minutes. And I think Bona is a more likely candidate.
Yeah, I'm interested in that one just because we talk about camp battles and a lot of stuff is pretty locked in. We talk about the 4th and the 5th starter outside of the 3 all-stars on the team. Those are kind of built in of the conversation of, all right, what's going to happen there. But, man, this one is really intriguing because even though he was a second-round pick and we weren't expecting him to play a lot last year, but Andre Drummond played so poorly and then he had the injuries as well that Bona was just forced on the floor and he performed pretty well. And the things that we had the questions about, he corrected a lot of those problems, like getting us excited with the dribble handoff where he was surprising teams 2 times a game going to the rim and dunking. keeping the fouls down, by not biting on every ball fake and getting up in the air and putting himself in harm's way to be called for a foul. He corrected some of that. Now, he did have a scratch in his head our heads a little bit in Summer League, because he'll have a good game, then he'll have a bad game and all. But the experience also continuing to play while he was over in the tournament in Eurobasket, as we see Breed throws up the team there with a great backdrop while they're in Abu Dhabi, of what Bona is going to look like. And when Derek and I did catch him on
by the way, a lot of people were pointing
day,
out VJ looks very close to Adem's height, and that's like, guys, calm down.
camera angle.
VJ did not the camera angle, and VJ did not grow
6'10".
several inches during the
camera angle
post-draft process.
Yeah. So, but when we talked to him briefly, he was like, "Man, I just feel good because there's too much. There's never too much basketball." Is basically how he said it. So he feels like he's in a good place, and he knows he's going to get a battle from Andre Drummond. So whatever, I don't know how it's going to look, of where Nick Nurse is going to go. We have an idea of what he's used to doing, as the guys mentioned, but Bona's probably going to force his hand, where he's going to have to give this some real thought as to how he's going to go about it. Tomorrow, I'd probably say that I would say he gives the nod to Drummond, just because.
Drummond.
But maybe he swaps them out game by game to see who
or
performs
even half
the best.
by half, right?
Half and half, yeah, could go that way, yeah. So but that's a big matchup that we're waiting to find out, to see how that one plays out.
And here's the thing with Drummond too, right? How many times, not just this offseason, but last season, were we like, damn, could this team just get a rebound? And Drummond did not rebound as well as he has historically last year. And even still, he is a much better rebounder than basically everybody else on the team, right? So as we're looking at how they set up, what do the lineups look like? There's a hole at the 4. Are they going to play a true 4 or play more small ball? Drummond's going to have a case just strictly based on the rebounding, because if he is lighter on his feet, if he is less injured, if he's just in better shape overall and can move in space, I know that has not been his forte historically, even when he's been in good shape. Maybe the rebounding is enough because the other guys will do the rest. But I think with all the future hope that you probably have for Bona, you would hope that he's the guy that you would elevate here, and then Drummond in that role off the bench can do what he came here to do, right? Come in, play those 15 to 18 minutes, kill people on the boards, clean the glass on both ends, make an impact there, do exactly what he was doing in Chicago for a year or two there for this team.
All right, when we come back, we'll tap into a few more things we're looking for ahead of the Sixers' first preseason game. We'll also talk about Quentin Grimes and his 11:59 deadline to make a decision on whatever he's doing, and also an update on Jared McCain. We'll
Come
do
on,
it
Quentin.
all when we get back right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast, hanging out with you here on this Wednesday. And team, I got to tell you about Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 90 million users worldwide. And right now, you have 4 games today in Major League Baseball for the postseason that we got to pay attention to. So if you're like, oh, I forgot to make the wagers, I forgot the game started at 1 o'clock. Well, you got right now Cleveland, Detroit playing, San Diego, Chicago also in the mix, and 2 more games later on where Cincinnati and New York will be trying to even up their series at 1-1 in these wild card matchups. So if you want to get involved and place a ticket, maybe the early payout offer in the MLB, if you're a winner, team goes up by 5 runs ahead, like Los Angeles did last night, with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. New customers now get $200 in bonus bets when you bet 5, win or lose. Sign up. Use code PHLY365. Deposit 10. Place a bet for 5 to get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And guys, there are a lot of fun sporting events coming up. We're in peak Philly sports season, right? The winter teams are coming back. Baseball playoffs are here. The Eagles are undefeated and marching toward hopefully another Super Bowl. So you want to get tickets, where do you go? The Game Time app, because they give the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experience in just a few taps. We can all speak on this show from personal experience as to how great the Game Time app is, because we've all used it together to go to big time events out in Las Vegas, but also here in Philadelphia and around the country. It's so easy to use. You get to see the fees up front, so you know your all-in price right away. They have zone deals, so you can choose a section. Game Time chooses the seats. You save a bunch of money. You also get panoramic views from your seat and the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
Supposed to do what time is it?
What time you're not.
No, we're not
Incorrect.
doing it anymore.
You haven't done a Game Time read in a while, clearly, sir.
Oh.
It's not what it says.
I thought we just ad-libbed that part in regardless because it was part of the show. No?
Nope.
All right. Ooh.
They're like a family fight in the middle of the show.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast. Here.
Let me focus on me. You focus on you over there.
Go sign up to become a Supporters Club member as well. With $4.99, $14.99, you get unique behind-the-scenes footage each week. You also get an opportunity to access the exclusive emojis and some behind-the-scenes, real, true, sicko-level stuff. Go sign up, become a Supporters Club member for the real ones, and we appreciate all the support. Kyle, what else do you have your eyes on for tomorrow's preseason opener?
Well, it's definitely the 4 spot, right? And I think
100%.
specifically, if he's available to go, and he is a true if, right?
Yeah.
Trendon Watford.
Hamstring injury.
He's the most interesting of these guys. That does not mean that I've talked a lot about the fit concerns I have, that he is more of a point forward, or even Tyrese Maxey, when you talk to him, Devon, at Media Day, referred to him as maybe more of a backup point guard at times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like a jumbo point guard that they can turn the ball over to and get guys off the ball and moving. If he plays, it really is just what does this guy look like? What is Nick Nurse's plan for him? Because he is not someone that is just like a high flyer athlete. Like, put him in the dunker spot and you're going to get him the ball and he can, just dunk if you dump it off to him, or he's going to just kill teams on the offensive glass. He's a unique player at that spot and at his size. And so you have to go into his minutes with some intent. It can't just be, hey, we have you stand in the corner and you as a reluctant career shooter are just going to stand in the corner and take spot up threes, right? That's not his game. It was not his game coming out of college, has not been his game in the NBA. And even though he has improved in terms of wanting to shoot them and making more of them, he's still got a long way to go. So how much do they put the ball in his hands? How much are they going to, frankly, just rely on him in a rotation role? Now, if he's not available, and I would guess, given that he's dealing with a hamstring thing, those can tend to linger. You're probably going to be very cautious with that in the preseason. Who of Walker or Barlow makes a bigger impression, right? Because while I think Walker is more established, probably has a better reputation overall, and certainly I think when they signed either guy, Walker we thought a little more highly of. But Barlow's gotten some early buzz in camp. He is, as we talked about the other day, someone that maybe you could just say he's an unpolished gem potentially, like took an unorthodox path to where he's at. Who stands out early? And that's going to be a battle the whole preseason, right? Because I would not be surprised if at some point during the year they make a choice on those two-way deals and say, we're going to carry one of these guys as a power forward and maybe rotate someone else through, right? Like their two-way spots, they tend to be pretty aggressive with getting guys in and out if they're not seeing what they want. So that's a pretty open competition for minutes as a true forward at this point. Who emerges early on? Barlow has the early buzz, but we shall see.
Yeah. I feel like Watford shouldn't play. Did he practice yesterday? I don't think he
We
did,
haven't
but I
heard
haven't
much.
heard
There's
for sure.
no local media over
Yeah.
there, and I can't imagine that Abu Dhabi local media is like, hey, can we get an update
On Trendon Watford?
on Trendon Watford's day-to-day, the hamstring
I think
issue.
there are about two New York
two Knicks
reporters
reporters
over
I
there.
believe.
But I agree with you. I don't think he should play. The hamstring is the hamstring.
Yeah,
so
and if
wait it out.
you have at most one practice under your belt, it just doesn't feel like it's worth it for a preseason game. But I kind of hope he does, because he is absolutely one of my 3 or 4 people I'm most looking forward to, just because his skill set at that power forward spot is something the Sixers haven't had, and it's unique and it's intriguing to watch, and it's going to be a tough fit given his other limitations. But I think if there's anyone out of that group of 3 that you mentioned who could really break through and be a reliable contributor in that power forward, whether that's a backup role or whatnot, I think he's probably the front runner in my mind. So I would love to get an early sign of where he is at, of how Nick Nurse plans to use him, of how he can play off of his teammates, especially someone like Tyrese Maxey, who obviously there's that connection with. But I kind of feel like the odds of us getting that are a little bit low. So if you're going then, between Walker and Barlow, I think I'm kind of a little more intrigued in Barlow, just because it feels like the versatility is there. If he can figure some stuff out, and by some stuff, we mean the shot, like he has to figure that shot out. But the versatility is intriguing, and I kind of want to see it. Now, he's not like an unknown. Like, he's played a decent amount of minutes here over the years, but it would be great to see him and what he can add to this team, because I just feel like I have a better read on Walker, especially if you're going to give him a consistent role. I want to see what Barlow can do a little bit.
I'm too. I'm on Barlow because they've called him out. So since they've called him out positively, I want to see what they saw. I want to see what
100%.
What it looks like out there. And the fact that also Nurse pointed out when asked about the 4 and the 5, and he went to the 3 and the 4 instead of the 4 and the 5. He went 4 and the 3. So at the power forward and the small forward position. So is he interchangeable? Can he go back and forth between those two forward or wing positions and play some pretty good minutes, because he is going to be out there playing against, if the Knicks play regular guys, he's going to be out there with some guys that can mix it up at the 4 and the 3. That's going to give him some pretty good challenges. So what is it? It's the shot. Of course, it's the hustle and all that stuff. And he's just an intriguing guy in general. Even when we hear him talk, I'm locked in on what he's saying, because he's really thoughtful with the things that he says, and telling us about the Overtime Elite stuff, how he did play some 3 while he was with Overtime Elite, playing the 4, of course, and just doing what they've asked of him. And then when we got to see him in the one-on-ones with VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey and how they were going at it, I just want to I've seen more of Walker in Portland. I want to see him here too. I want to see how it plays out, but I haven't seen as much of Barlow from the San Antonio days to the Atlanta Hawks days. And I'm very, very curious to see how all of that stuff just sorts itself out at that power forward position. Watford has the head start on both of them. He's on a 2-year deal on a guaranteed contract. Those two are on 2 ways, trying to figure their way out within the flow of the rotation and all. Barlow has the lead right now for me, and I want to see what that looks like.
So circling back a little bit on Watford, right? If he does play, and I will say once again, pretty dubious on that. But there are plays that are in their playbook that you could see right away, like, oh, that's how you can use his passing, right? Like, the one I would immediately comes to mind is the one horn set they run. So they have the 2 bigs or the front court guys stationed at either elbow, and what they're trying to do is get the back door for one of the guards coming going to the right? They're going on the right side. So you put the ball in Watford's hands at the left elbow. He's got the vision and he's got the size. If it's a quick overhead, Maxey on that quick backdoor, VJ on a quick backdoor. If not, he can drive left, go take it with his left, drive to the basket. Like, there are reads out of that action that I think he can capitalize on, and he can hit all of them, right? It's not just as a scorer. It's not just as a passer. So I can see a few things, or I can anticipate a few things that I think he can do within what they already have set up. It's really just about how do you use him and what's the most effective way to use him, right? Because I think he's just based on contracts, right? He is a higher priority guy than Walker or Barlow was.
Sure. Yep.
But you could also argue that his skill set, especially with Grimes unavailable, especially with McCain hurt, his skill set might be even more valuable as a bench guy, right? Like, if Maxey and VJ both start, and now it's really, you're getting down to like Lowry and Gordon in terms of ball handlers in the backup unit, you kind of need Watford there to provide a little bit of creative ability so that it's not having to bring those end of bench guys in to play those minutes. So
yeah,
how Nick Nurse uses him is going to be one of the stories of the preseason and the early season, but we will probably see a heck of a lot more of Walker and Barlow tomorrow.
Yeah, his ball handling and passing whenever he gets back out there is going to be important for this basketball team. All right, game is tomorrow at noon, everybody, so make sure you are all ready to go to check it out, to watch the game so we can all come back together like we have. We haven't done one since April with a post-game show, and I'm looking forward to even a preseason post-game show. Looking forward to it with you all tomorrow as the Sixers take on the Knicks. The Quentin Grimes thing is still going on, Derek, 11:59. So can you kind of explain again anything that we need to know for the final day of this October 1st deadline, 11:59 p.m.?
Yeah, again, everything it seems like I think if you're holding out hope, like with the Kuminga 2-year deal that was signed yesterday, I would be very surprised if that happens. I think you're looking at a 1-year deal, either the qualifying offer or maybe a couple $1 million over the qualifying offer to get him to waive that no trade clause. I think those are two most likely outcomes. If for some reason he doesn't sign, which he should sign, but if he doesn't sign, he is still a restricted free agent. He just wouldn't have that qualifying offer to fall back on. Most likely, because that qualifying offer is sort of the last bit of leverage, you would expect one of those two, either a qualifying offer or a 1-year deal, to happen here by 11:59 p.m.
We will more than likely be doing an emergency pod at 11:30 p.m. tonight, and one member of this cast will already be asleep. I'll let you guess who that might be. It won't be me.
Maybe 2.
Well, you're not allowed either.
And if
you're on standby back there.
If you missed it, as Derek mentioned, the Jonathan Kuminga agreement with the Golden State Warriors. Bree, let's show everybody 2 years, $48.5 million contract to stay with the Golden State Warriors. The deal has a team option designed, Kyle, for the contract to be ripped up and renegotiated next summer.
Yeah.
There's that.
I think there is about a snowball's chance in hell that Quentin Grimes is getting that money from the Sixers.
And if you would like to know why, just go back and listen to the first 40 minutes of yesterday's show.
Were you surprised that Kuminga? I know we talked about who does it first, who signs first. Were you surprised that it came down to them figuring it out and getting that done? Because theirs, to your point yesterday, was theirs is totally different than the Sixers and Grimes's. And they seemed like they were just stuck on where they were. There was no movement. And that one might drag out a little bit. But they came to a 2-year, $48.5. And a big part of it was a player option versus a team option on year 2 or year 3.
It seems like Golden State was not budging on the team option versus player option.
And what's nice, and I really hate to belabor a point here, but you've got an ownership group who's willing to pay money to increase the value of their trade asset.
I teed him up right there, everybody.
Must be nice.
I'm not surprised because the framework of that deal has been out there for a bit. We discussed Kuminga's situation on this show, I think sometime within the last 2-3 weeks, right? When there was other reporting from Anthony Slater over at ESPN, that this was one of the reported deals that was on the table. So I'm not surprised he ultimately ended up deciding on this deal, because it does look like one that either he's going to get to free agency sooner than later, or a team that trades for him is going to have him for another 24 point whatever million next season. It's a middle ground option. He gets to free agency once again at a pretty young age with a long road ahead of him. So I think it's a good middle ground for everybody in a lot of capacities. Other than the only thing that Kuminga loses is the ability to play for a team that wants to play him, which is kind of a big deal, right? Like all the reporting has been out there saying he doesn't believe they want him, right? And that's a pretty big deal.
It's a very toxic relationship that he got $25 million to stay in.
So not that toxic, but still at least a little toxic. Yeah. So
Good change, man.
We'll see what's going on there.
And what he does in camp will matter. If he shows out in camp and he does what he does as like a 6-man or maybe even that 5th starter, he plays well. He's hitting the market at a pretty good time where there'll be more salary cap space next summer for more teams that could offer him a decent amount of money if need be.
No, I think he has a good chance of having more interest next year than he did this year. But we don't have a single report of him getting any offer this year in terms of Quentin Grimes.
Oh, you talking?
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was talking about Kuminga. Okay.
But I think for both of them, it's true. The thing with Grimes is I think he's got to be realistic. Like, I truly don't think a $20 million offer is out there. I just don't think the NBA is valuing role players like that anymore. And we will see. And we'll see. We'll see. I would be surprised if he has that big, massive payday coming.
Derek, we are getting some questions about, and these have come throughout the show. What is set aside all your deserved animosity over the tax and the apron lines? What is the most they can give Grimes?
$38 million.
Yeah, which is the max.
Yes,
right.
It's a 25% max.
Yeah, they could give him as much as $38 million a year.
Yep.
They are absolutely not giving him anywhere near that much money, nor have they offered him anywhere near that much. But they could, in theory, offer tons of money. Mm-hmm. They have not, and they are not.
It made me go right back to the Nickeil Alexander-Walker contract with the Hawks this summer.
What did he end up getting?
4 years, 62.
Okay. That is like the upper end for a role player-ish.
So my reason why I thought about him was how important he was on those 2 playoff runs to the Western Conference Finals with the Minnesota Timberwolves, gets the big payday with the Atlanta Hawks. Is Grimes better than that? Is he equal to that? We don't know.
He's in the ballpark.
He's in the ballpark. But we have said we're fine with that. And that's not seeing him in that type of role in a winning situation where he's won playoff games, where he's hit big shots in the playoffs, made big defensive plays in the postseason. Asking for more than that? I mean, ask for it, but like Kyle said, come back realistically to look at what
I don't have any problem on July 1st being like, I want $25 million.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what you should do. That's what any agent worth their salt should do.
I don't have a problem with Daryl at the beginning being like, yeah, we'll give you 10. Like, those are 2 reasonable starting points in July, not in late September.
Yeah, so 4 for 62. That's a pretty good number if that was being thrown at, But, hey, that's our thoughts on that one. And it made me also think real quick here, Karis LeVert. Well, his was 2 for 29. So,
but again,
$15
right
million
in that
a year,
same,
right? Yeah, right in that same 14 and a half. Yeah. Right,
and Karis LeVert, by the way, not a guy who starts every game. Like, in fact, most cases is coming off of the bench, right? So could easily pay Quentin Grimes that money and be like, you're our 6th man, right? You're our utility guy, utility guard coming off the bench. It doesn't block VJ. That's the thing, right? Is like, it's hard to spin this as, we're doing what's best for like the young guy. Like, this contract situation has gone beyond that. If they were offering a 4 for 60, a 3 for 45, even like let's just say it was like a $13 million a year, like 3 for 39 or 4 for 52, right? It was somewhere where it's like, we're giving you a raise, we're giving you more money, we're giving you long-term security, but we have a hard line. Like, we're not crossing this. What they have done, or at least what they have been reported to have offered, is just, I won't quite say slap in the face because it sounds ridiculous to say $39 million to do anything is a slap in the face. But it is like, you're bordering on the line of like disrespectful when you traded for the guy knowing that he turned down a similar number to that at the start of the year before he played really well for you.
Right. And not only did he play the best ball of his career with the Sixers, but with the Mavs before the trade was the best ball of his career. Like, you don't have to believe in a 20-point per game Quentin Grimes to give him more than the qualifying offer. Look, there were a number of different reasons I think you have to make that trade at the deadline. First of all, I hate being a broken record. You ducked the tax at the trade deadline last year.
Hang the banner, baby.
Trading Caleb Martin for Quentin Grimes was a big part of that. I also think if that third pick doesn't convey, we're having a different conversation right now, not just because of the positional overlap, but because of that $11 million that VJ is making and gets them closer to that luxury tax. So I think there are reasons to make that trade, but Kyle's point is 100% right. He's not going to play the best basketball of his career and you give him no additional money for it. That's just not how this sport works.
All right,
That's
so
how human nature works,
Right.
for that matter.
we're still on Grimes Watch, everyone, until 11:59 tonight. So stay tuned just in case there's an emergency pod at some point this evening. You're watching your baseball, all of that. Scouting for the Phillies. Make sure you have your alerts ready in case we have an emergency pod. All right, wrapping it up before we get to the roll call. The Sixers have finally updated the Jared McCain situation. Jared McCain told us yesterday, while he was still a little loopy in the hospital.
Did he tell us or did he sing to us on Instagram?
He did both.
And then the Sixers told us at 3:30 in the morning.
They gave us an update, and they're saying Jared McCain, as you can see here on the screen, underwent the successful surgery to repair the thumb and will be reevaluated approximately 4 weeks. Further updates will be provided as appropriate for Jared McCain. It's kind of like we've been in a 4, 6, 8 timeline, depending on how severe that injury was. So the surgery is done, as we saw yesterday. And the Sixers giving us the update there. So that if it's 4 weeks, Kyle, if it's a month, that's right into the start of November, where there are a few games into the season, like 4 or 5 games into the season. At worst, as we said, it could be somewhere around Thanksgiving, and that's about 15, 20 games into it. So glad that, again, if it had to happen, which it did happen, it's at the beginning of the season, and it's not devastating for him, number one, and number two, for the team.
Yeah. Right now, all we can really do is say get well soon to Jared. I do think that he's a bigger absence than I know they have all the guards, but it's a bigger absence than maybe people realize. If he is to linger, if it gets pushed off into more of that 6 to 8 week territory, because I do view him as a real option, as like you're running the team when Tyrese Maxey's off the floor. It's great to have VJ that he can do that, and you want to bring him along on ball. But having these lineups where you have multiple guys who can put it on the floor also takes pressure off of the other guys on the floor, right? So if it is VJ out there, we saw what Tyrese Maxey went through last year, right? Where he's kind of the lone ranger out there in some of these lineups.
It's frustrating.
The more ball handlers, the more shooting, the more skill that is on the floor, the easier everyone's job
Time
gets.
out. Breaking news.
There we go.
Shams
That's the qualifying offer.
signing the 1-year, $8.7 million qualifying offer to return to the Philadelphia 76ers. He will now hold an inherent no-trade clause and enter a more flush market, as Shams says, in unrestricted
thank you
free
to Quentin
agency
Grimes for doing the thing I
summer.
already pre-wrote a story on so I can publish it immediately.
Yes. Good timing by you, man. Yeah.
Listen.
Hey.
Here's what I will say. The short version of the article is exactly what we did on the show yesterday, right? I think it's a shame that when one camp has 25 million and the other has 10, the obvious thing is just to say, why don't we talk about 15? I think it makes sense, or would have made sense for all sides. And instead you end up in, I don't think it's the worst case scenario, but I think it's a bad scenario if you're laying out all the options going into the offseason.
I think it's the worst case.
Do you?
Scenario. What would be worse?
Paying him $25 million for 4 years.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't going to happen, I don't think.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. That's the worst case scenario.
Of the realistic ones, I think this is worst case scenario.
It's not good.
It's absolutely bad.
All right. The wait is over, everybody. Back on the qualifying offer with the Sixers, and here we are.
You two got to talk because I got to publish this.
Yeah, here we are. So, look, everybody, we want to let you all know that, first of all, we're going to overtime. We thank everybody on the television side. If you want to continue with the conversation here, head to allphly.com. Quentin Grimes agrees to the qualifying offer with the Sixers, $8.7 million. We're going to keep that going at allphly.com right now on that side. So TV, if you want to stay with us to share your thoughts of what just went down with Quentin Grimes staying with the Sixers on a 1-year, $8.7 million deal, not getting a balloon payment, not getting a deal like Jonathan Kuminga, which we just talked about, or any long-term extension, we are talking about it at allphly.com. We'll be back tomorrow after the game at 3 p.m. to discuss preseason game number 1 for the Sixers and anything we have updated on Quentin Grimes.
So, Derek, can you walk people through all the machinations in terms of how it hurts his trade value and kind of the market that unfolds from here with regards to Quentin Grimes?
So, I mean, the no trade clause that comes with any 1-year deal. You get an automatic no trade clause. You can then negotiate that out of the contract. So you can ask them to basically waive the contract at the time of signing it. That's what was it? Cam Thomas, they were trying to do with Cam Thomas, where they would give him an extra $2 or $3 million. But that condition to that is you have to waive that no trade clause. So waiving the no trade clause, or not having that no trade clause waived up front is a big deal. But even if you were to waive that later on in the season, because his salary is so low at $8.7 million, again, anytime you have a veteran on a 1-year contract who then waives that no trade clause and is traded, they lose bird rights. So then a team that wants to bring him back would only have non-bird rights, which you can only offer a starting salary of 20% higher than his current one. So we'd have a starting salary next year of like maybe $10.5 million for a max. That is not what he is looking for. So no team is going to try to trade for him as anything more than a rental. And that severely, severely, severely kills your trade value. And again, the Sixers right now, in terms of matching salary, unless you want to get into like the Jared McCain of it all, and I don't think anybody listening to this really wants Jared McCain traded, you really only have now Andre Drummond and Kelly Oubre, about $12 million in total salary that you can use to match in a trade. Again, because of all of the CBA rules, which we won't get into now, you have to be able to match salary. And oftentimes, if you're over an apron, have to be able to send out more salary than you take back. Having these mid-sized contracts really gives you flexibility and, to steal a Hinkie phrase, optionality. So now they're sitting here with,
I'm sick of optionality, man.
I'm playing to our audience.
That's one of those. Put that in the rant jar as optionality.
For a team that has some pretty good future first-round picks at their disposal, they have very little to actually execute a trade with. So you lose not only, Quentin becoming an unrestricted free agent next summer, and probably, quite frankly, unless you overpay him, he's not going to want to come back. You also really lose the ability to trade him this year. So all you get is a player for a season that we don't really know how it's going to shake out. And again, I think being able to trade Quentin at a positive trade value was almost more important in a world where Joel Embiid isn't on the court frequently, because you need a way to recoup assets to try to build your core around Maxey and McCain and Edgecombe. And this could have been a huge one. I think this is an absolute, outside of like a $25 million deal, I think this is pretty close to a disaster. And as I said yesterday, it's one thing to look at it and be like, okay, why not a balloon payment? Why not a $14 million 1-year payment? There's only one downside to that. There's only one.
Josh Harris loses helicopter fuel money.
So no matter what they say here, the fact that they were unwilling to do that, and quite frankly, I think we're speculating here. I think Quentin would agree to waive that no trade clause if you gave him an extra $5 million. If they're unwilling to do that, they're telling you in bright blinking lights, we don't want to pay the luxury tax. So now you're going to be about $7 million over the luxury tax. If the season goes sideways, look for Kelly Oubre to be dumped.
I want to reiterate what I laid out on yesterday's show, where we talked almost exclusively about Quentin Grimes. I think this is a failure for everyone, right? Derek has laid out just now and in general the luxury tax ducking possibilities that this is setting up, the animosity that he has for that whole justification for this. And we've all said the Sixers should have moved off of 4 for 39 is a ridiculous offer, right? It's just, it is not, it was a fine. We start here. You ask for 25, we offer 10 a year. And at some point in the summer, you reach a middle ground. To never, as far as we know, as far as we can tell, move from that position, that's bad. It's inexcusable. And it's just as inexcusable for Quentin Grimes to sit there the whole summer and be like, I want 25. Okay, would you take this? And then just keep saying, I want 25 and not move and not show any sort of flexibility on the long-term stuff, right? And I think for him, this sets up a ton of risk. I've brought up the Nerlens Noel thing in the past, right, where he had $70 million on the table. He didn't end up making even half of that the rest of his career after playing on the qualifying offer. There are success stories, right? Like Ben Gordon is a guy I brought up in the story I wrote for allphly.com where he played on the qualifying offer and then made, I believe it was like 55 or 60 million, signing with the Detroit Pistons after a big year with the Bulls. So there are success stories. But if you just look at the landscape, I just don't know how you get to anywhere approaching that number with VJ Edgecombe, with Jared McCain, with Tyrese Maxey here, and with the message that the Sixers are sending by making you these offers in the first place, that if you're not enough of a priority to give you a lot of money, why do you think you're going to be a priority to get a lot of minutes, to get a lot of opportunities, to get that money in the future? So I think both sides have pretty wildly misplayed their hands. Quentin in the sense that I don't think that money is out there in the future, but the Sixers in a more important sense, I think, because he's a good player. You need good players on the team. You need guys who, I said yesterday, set the standard that Tyrese Maxey is talking about. When Joel Embiid is hurt or Joel Embiid is just out, Paul George is having a rest day, Paul George is missing 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month with a knee injury, whatever it might be. You need people who are available, talented, and productive. And whatever you think about Quentin Grimes and his, estimation of himself and his worth, he is a good basketball player. He had a full wire-to-wire good season last year and has multiple seasons of productive role player play in different team contexts. I do not understand the line that they drew in the sand unless this guy was just completely unreasonable and saying, I will not take a cent less than whatever, 22, 23, 24, $25 million a year. That's the only scenario where they come out of this looking defensible. And I can't imagine that's it. We'll see when the dust settles.
So from the story, since Shams breaking this news, and we said it's from his agent, David Bauman, to ESPN on Wednesday, as we've talked about, Grimes' side indicated they desired a contract in the $30 million range early on. They then shifted from 20 to 25 million based on the story, which we've talked about in the past. Never came to anything there. Bauman, though, also says in Shams' story that the Sixers' first formal offer was on September 24th, which we pushed back on that one.
The formal offer thing is nonsense.
For 39. Days later, Grimes was offered a one-year deal, according to them in the story, $8.8 million instead of the $8.7 million that gave him $100,000 more than his qualifying offer in order to waive the no-trade clause. Those frameworks were declined.
That might be the most infuriating detail in this entire story, because that is a slap in the
yes.
That is the line where you are almost literally slapping him in the face.
You want him to take the qualifying offer.
Yes.
That you're telling him, take the qualifying offer. We don't care about you.
Also, on Wednesday, Bauman says they offered the Sixers a one-year framework with the balloon payment of $17 million while waiving the no-trade clause, and a 2-year deal at $34 million with a player option. Both were rejected, Bauman said, by the Philadelphia 76ers this
So again, 17, to circle back to what Derek said earlier, 17, the only reason that you would not greenlight that, the only thing that impacts is luxury tax, right? That takes you over the first apron, Derek, but you're like 4 or 5 million short of the second apron.
They're currently 21 under the second apron.
So a $17 million balloon payment, you are 4 million, let's say, just napkin math, under the second apron, which is the real, you run into real problems with the second apron.
Yep.
So
get back to the
it looks really bad on the Sixers end.
Yeah. So
It looks
with that,
really bad.
that's why I was saying go back to the $100,000 to push it to
The 100.
8.8.
So again, have to verify
Again,
these
it's
things,
all-
and this
this
will
is
be a
all-
lot of
yes,
he said,
100%.
Of course, the agent is going to.
As I said, I'm reading
play
from the
this.
story, and
Yes.
the agent is speaking through. Shams is speaking
That's
through the agent.
absurd, though.
But if that is true, that is one of the most ridiculous things I could imagine them doing, right? To not even be like, we'll give you 10 million. We'll give you 9 million. Like $100,000. Like, look, if you came to me today, Devon, like I could get you another $100,000, I'd be a very happy man. But my base salary, breaking news, is not $8.7 million.
Right.
And I'm also not asking for $25 million or $20 million, whatever it is. That's ridiculous. There is no justification of that.
No,
And I don't really, honestly, there's nothing I even really
that's
can
just
say
like
other
with-
than that.
with the
There's
four-
no way to justify
the
that.
4 for 39 when we talked about that and said, no way you offer him that after you just turned down what he turned down in Dallas at 4 for 33 or whatever it might have been. And now 4 for 39 when he played like that and seeing what he did for the basketball team when you needed him most and what that could project out to be where he's still 24, 25 years of age and how he would fit within that backcourt rotation. No way that you offer that. And if that was real, that's a slap in the face too. But now you add this to it with $100,000 adding just to push you to 8.8, man. It sounds much better than the 8.7. And then the 2 for, what did I say? 2 for 34 also thrown at them while he had 5 30-point games. He had 2 40-point games for them last year. Jared McCain is hurt right now and what he could provide for you right now. And you get to see what they could do as a 4-man rotation in that backcourt. That is a bit of a
Look, here's the thing.
take this or leave
If that
it.
was your offer for a balloon payment,
Yeah.
you would have been better off just shutting the fuck up, right? And not offering anything,
Yeah.
saying, we're not doing a balloon payment.
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous. It's like almost hard to believe that they would do that.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's like the equivalent of like, I'll give you 8.7 million and $1. It's like, who does that?
It's wild.
But-
I have nothing.
According
You
to
would
the
Come
agent,
on, man.
You
According
would
to the
not
agent,
do
the
that
Sixers
just
would
because
do
you don't
that.
want it to be leaked. Like, you know that's going to
Right, you know it looks ridiculous on paper.
Yeah.
And that's where, so it also, set aside how the optics of it. Now you run into the situation you don't really want to run into when the guy's on the qualifying offer. The spite factor and the malcontent factor, right? This is no longer just like, we couldn't come to terms on an agreement. We were far apart, but ultimately, like, hey, we value this. And they're going to say all this, right?
Yeah.
All the spin that will come out is we really value Quentin as a member of the organization and blah, 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 blah. You can't play.
No.
Like, that playbook doesn't work.
Actions
When
speak-
when
yeah.
they said, hey, let's work out a balloon payment that works out for both sides, you said, $100K, best I can do. You look like the guy on Pawn Stars.
Yeah.
You're like, someone brings in a family heirloom, and you're like, best I can do is $350. Like, best I can do is $100K. Like, it's just an insane thing to propose.
It is. It is.
I hope it's not true. Again, we're just sitting here live reacting to the one formal report that has come in. I can confirm that
We got
he
one
signed
side.
the qualifying offer, but all the rest of this stuff.
We have one side,
But-
and that's it. That's it.
Come on.
So for the people who just got in here and you're saying,
8.8.
what's going on? $8.7 million qualifying offer Quentin Grimes had on the table all summer. He finally accepted it here at just around 4 o'clock, just before 4 o'clock here as we've been discussing the Sixers on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Laid out some numbers there in the story according to his agent of what was thrown from the Sixers and what they offered. And that's where we are right now. He is in. He's not playing in Abu Dhabi. He's in. He'll be here when they get back from Abu Dhabi after the 2 games.
I'm so incredulous
against
at
the New
this,
York
because I'm
Knicks.
like, just imagine being in a negotiation. Let's just take all the names out of it. Take the Sixers, take Quentin Grimes, David Bauman, take all these people out of it. Imagine you're in a negotiation that you're in theory like $15-16 million apart. And 3 months into negotiations, you place a phone call to the other side and you're like, we got another $100K for you. It's like, how the fuck would they ever respect you again?
It's a good thing.
Never.
It's a good thing this happened after an overtime.
Like what?
Yeah. Number one, because we don't have to do a 11:30 tonight
And we
emergency
can-
pod. But number two is because
Yeah, Derek would have
You
been the
guys can just
sleepy one,
sound
by
off.
the way, in case that wasn't clear.
can just sound off. So that's what it is.
I feel like an idiot because I spent all summer
I'm
like
flabbergasted.
breaking down the fucking second apron. They're not getting anywhere near the second
this
apron.
is-
They're not even going to pay the
come
tax.
on,
Like, why did I waste my time? Ugh.
So we'll see how it all plays out. Kyle won, everybody. Kyle won on the media day
Bang.
predictions of who gets closer to the actual decision and the contract being resolved. Kyle wins. Derek and I lose.
Have you ever seen the meme? It's of Wario staring off into the sunset, and it says, "I've won, but at what cost?" That's me right now.
And at what cost did Grimes or the Sixers win or lose in this situation? We'll find out as it all plays out.
Oh my God!
Tomorrow, we talk about basketball after a game is played at noon against the New York Knicks. So make sure you're all here with us at 3 p.m. as we go post-game style early in the preseason. Game 1, Sixers-Knicks tomorrow. Quentin Grimes is not playing. And that 8-9-man list of injury report that we showed you a little bit earlier, we'll see who's available on that list tomorrow as well.
Grimes sure ain't available.
Add Grimes to that list. He's not going to be there. I've
There
won,
it is.
but at what cost? Bree is the best.
Derek's missing it.
That's why you got to hit the like button, everybody, because she is the best. She's always
Thank
on
you,
it
Bree.
immediately. Make sure you hit that like button to thank Bree for all of that.
Oh my
And it is finally time for the end of the show.
I
And our
just-
super chat, we got to thank Jess, your Purple Heart. Happy Wednesday. That's all. A big
Nice
donation.
big donation
Maybe
from
that can
Jess.
go to Quentin Grimes as he only has
hey,
the
Jess,
8.7.
they needed that money.
Yes, they did. 100,000.
Josh Harris is looking in the couch cushions.
$19.99 there for Quentin Grimes. Let's get to the world famous roll call. Thank you,
Come
Jess,
on,
for the super chat.
Jess.
The world famous roll call. Kyle, do you have it in you to do the world famous
Of
roll
course
call?
I do, because our wonderful people show up for us.
That's right.
If they had it, they would definitely offer us more than $100K and a $15 million negotiation gap that we're on. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Obviously, on the way out, if you could, hit the thumbs up. We've been telling you all show. We're going to tell you every show, each and every day, to say thank you to Bree, but also to help us out, help more people see the show, help us get exclusives. It's just one quick little action. It makes a big difference. But we thank you regardless. Thank you to Mom's grandchildren. What's up to Mom?
Hey, Mom.
To Hedfa. To Mark Jackson.
What up, Mark?
To Ethan Hartley. Our guy Al, the 2-minute
What
warning.
up, Al?
Lee Nguyen. Keen Cobb. Jeffrey Stewart. Smy Guy. a.k.a. Smoggy
Smoggy.
is in the building. Doug Craig. Vic. Reese. Joaquin from Cherry Hill.
What up, Joaquin?
Hedfa. Charles.
Hey, Hedfa.
Japanese.
Oh,
Just Japanese.
what up, Japanese?
Liam Stevens. Jess, our super chatter of the day. Thank you to Jess. Thank you to Val. Thank you to Brandon from New Jersey,
Hey, ladies.
who doesn't like my pants but likes my jacket. So, can't
wrong
win
with
them
your
all,
pants?
buddy.
What up, Brandon? We like
More
the
of my
jacket.
jeans. He's like,
We
it's,
like it.
whatever.
People
Anyway,
are too picky.
people are too
Here.
picky. You're not wearing the
Tell
clothes.
us what to wear
Worry
on
about
the show.
yourself.
Thank
you want to pay for the wardrobe? By all means, criticize the wardrobe. Taryn's Knights, Brian Knight,
What up,
Igavini,
T-Knights?
Habib 215, Sean Ford,
Habib.
Eugene Ross, Martian Lynch.
What up, y'all?
Yo's World, who Yo came in very late yesterday.
Yes, we love Yolanda. Thank you, yo.
Thank you to Yo, who was here early
What
today.
up, yo?
Thank you for being here. Thank you to Music Lover 31, Dave P, Coleman Potts, Theo, Marcus Blackstock,
What up, Mark?
Freddie Powell, Ish, Densley, my girl Nona, of course,
Yes.
PHLY guy. Say what?
Say what? He missed out on Woody Marks in the waiver wire. Sorry
Kay
about that.
Taylor, Aaron.
What up, Aaron?
Thank you, everybody. Even if I didn't get to you, I love you all. Love the support. Love being here with you every day. I can speak for all of us on that front. On the way out, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live. And
bell
hit
icon
that
with
thumbs
this.
up button like we said 100 times on the show today, to make Devon happy. You want Devon to be happy. He's the nicest guy on the show.
I'm trying.
Make sure Devon's happy. Make sure Bree's happy. Make sure the show gets to as many people as it can.
Yes.
We'll see you tomorrow
Game
for
time.
a post-game show
Game time.
at 3 p.m. after Sixers-Knicks in Abu Dhabi. Until then, stay safe. Take care of one another. Goodbye.
We got basketball.
We all silly like the mayor.